And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? Every day I tell you, God, we got a great show for you, an unbelievable show for you. But it's true. Every day we've got a great show for you, an unbelievable show for you. And today's not going to be any different than any of the other ones. We're going to do what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and then we'll continue our segment, the tribute to the late great Paul Harvey, and the rest of the story. Today's story is to be alive, and you're not going to believe it. It's a fantastic story with a twist ending, and you're going to really enjoy that. And then a little later on, we'll have our own Sean LaFave. He'll be here, and Sean and I will be talking about health care and on his segment geared for wellness. And who knows what else we might be talking about. There's never really telling what's going to go on between Sean and I. But I can guarantee you this: it'll be interesting, and you'll enjoy it. But right now, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 59 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 44 degrees. What a difference from yesterday. We've got nice sunny skies. Yeah. We got sunny skies outside, where yesterday it was raining cats and dogs. So, who the heck knows what's going to go on. But I'm told we're going to have great weather for the rest of the week or so. So we'll see when the next weather front comes through here. But let's talk about the news. And right now, conservatives rebel on health care, and the GOP looks to Trump. Republicans confronted a conservative rebellion in their own party today over their long-promised plans to repeal and replace the health care law and beseeched President Donald Trump to settle the dispute. He's the leader on this issue right now. He's the one that's got to hold us together, said Representative Dennis Ross of Florida, as he left a meeting during which he said Republican leaders urged the rank and file to stay strong on the issue and told them now is not the time to back down. The pep talk from leadership came amid signs of serious trouble for the emerging House GOP health care plan even before legislation is officially released. Conservatives are objecting to new tax credits that would help consumers buy health care, arguing they amount to a costly new entitlement. Influential House conservatives say that there's no way the approach can pass the House. Well, we'll see what happens. All they ever seem to want to talk about these days is what there's no way to do. How about finding a way to do something, for Pete's sake? They haven't done anything for the last 12 years that I know of. And what to watch for when Trump makes his very first address to Congress. They used to call this the State of the Union. Now they're just calling it a presidential address to a joint session of Congress, mainly because, he's only been there 30 days. I doubt that he can tell you what the condition of the union really is. And if he could, he probably wouldn't say it was good. Anyway, a presidential address to Congress is always part policy speech and part political theater. With President Donald Trump, a former reality TV star, there's extra potential for drama as he makes his first address to Congress. After a chaotic start to his presidency, Trump will be trying to project his administration as ready to stride forward on top priorities such as changes to President Barack Obama's health care law and a tax overhaul. Congressional Democrats, in turn, will be trying to celebrate how strongly, or I should say, not celebrate, but calibrate how strongly to oppose a Republican president in the staid setting of the House chamber where manners still matter. Some things to watch for this evening. Let's talk about the pregame show, which members of Congress will arrive hours early to stake out seats on the center aisle of the House chamber for Trump's big entrance. Expect core Trump supporters to try and line the aisle. But will some of the Democrats, traditional aisle huggers, continue to angle for prime seats? They make a point of passing up a handshake with the president. Well, we'll see what happens. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a Texas Democrat who has often positioned herself on the aisle for presidential addresses, does not plan on shaking Trump's hand, according to her office. Well, let's talk about the robed ones. You know who we're talking about. Check out which Supreme Court justices show up this year. Samuel Alito, part of the court's conservative contingent, hasn't gone since since he was caught on camera during the 2010 State of the Union address, shaking his head and mouthing, "Not true," when Obama criticized a Supreme Court decision. Clarence Thomas, who has also stayed away in recent years, said in 2010 that the addresses had become so partisan that it's very uncomfortable for a judge to sit there. Could this be a year for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who leads the court's liberal wing, to opt out? She criticized Trump in interviews before his election, but later said she regretted making ill-advised comments in which she dismissed Trump as a taker who really has an ego. She went to every one of Obama's speeches, but dozed off in 2015 when he said she wasn't 100% sober. Well, how about the focus factor? White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer is promising Trump's speech will be an optimistic vision for the country, crossing traditional lines of party, race, socioeconomic status. Trump has demonstrated that he can stick to a script for high-profile speeches, but there's always interplay between presidents and legislators in such addresses, and even a few presidential ad-libs could change the dynamics of the night. If Trump veers into talk about fake news and criminal leaks from intelligence officials in complaints about the courts blocking his executive order on immigration, that would distract from his effort to show more discipline and focus. Well, how about Wither Kumbaya? Think about that. Spicer says he expects Trump to get a very robust and applause-filled reception from legislators, but dozens of Democratic legislators boycotted Trump's inauguration, and now they have to decide how to receive the president in their own chambers. Will they applaud the GOP president? Will the decorum of the moment be pierced with boos and heckles? Some of that may be choreographed in advance, but there's always the chance of spontaneous outbursts. In 2009, Republican Representative Joe Wilson of South Carolina blurted out, "You lie," during an Obama speech to Congress on health care. Expect to see lots of white in the crowd. Democratic women in the House plan to wear white to honor women's suffrage and stand in solidarity with the women of our nation. Well, how about details? Details, please. Republicans in Congress are getting impatient for more detail on Trump's plans to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act and to undertake sweeping tax changes. Trump on Monday called the health care law a complicated issue and promised to give states the flexibility that they need to make the end result really, really good for them. The speech is a prime opportunity for Trump to go beyond such generalities, but aides say not to expect the legislative breakthrough. And then looking up, well, the action won't all be on the floor of the House. The galleries in the House balcony will offer another tier of commentary. Democratic members of Congress have invited immigrants, foreigners, and people who have benefited from the Obama health care law to be seated in the galleries of as their guests. And First Lady Melania Trump has invited special guests to sit in her box who are likely to telegraph different messages. Well, how about Twitterama? Get ready. No need to wait for the speech to end to get political commentary. Based on past presidential addresses to Congress, expect legislators to be live tweeting their reactions to what they view as the best and worst of it. And there's always the potential for Trump himself to amplify or scramble his own message with presidential tweets before and after the fact. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, said he's hoping for a tweet-free message from Trump. And then, you know what, there's counter-program going on too. And you know what, I'm going to tell you about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. I'm going to tell you some more about what's going to happen tonight.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know what? I'm trying to tell you about what to watch for when Trump makes his first address to Congress this evening. And I just got one more thing for you, and that is counter-programming. You know, expect both official and informal counter-programming. Former Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear, who helped expand health care coverage in his state under Obama's health care law, is going to deliver the Democrats' response to Trump's address. And immigration activist Astrid Silva, who came to the United States illegally when she was 5, will offer the party's Spanish language response. Before Trump's speech, opponents of the president planned a resistance address and rally at Lafayette Park across the White House with Rosie O'Donnell as the headliner. She and Trump have been feuding for years. Yeah, you can just wonder what she's going to have to say. That's almost, you know what? That's almost a shame to have to even say anything about that, right? That's what I'm thinking anyhow. You know what? Let's talk about Trump is to issue a broad call for action on the economy and on health care. You can just bet on it. President Donald Trump will issue a broad call for overhauling the nation's health care system and reviving up the U.S. economy when he delivers his first address to Congress tonight. But he could leave anxious lawmakers with few specific guidelines for tackling the complicated legislative priorities that have been divided or have divided his own Republican Party. In one surprise, Trump may also voice support for immigration legislation. A senior administration official said ahead of the address, the White House offered no details about what the president would want in such a measure, including whether he would support a path to citizenship or legalization for millions of people in the United States illegally. He is open to having conversations about that moving forward, White House spokesman Sarah Sanders said. Trump's address comes at a pivotal moment for a new president elected on pledges to swiftly shake up Washington and follow through on the failed promises of career politicians. The president spent his opening weeks in office flexing his executive power, but has yet to push into the complex legislative battles over health care and tax reform. The White House bungled the rollout of a sweeping immigration and refugee ban and has been plagued by persistent questions about Trump campaign advisors' contact with Russia during the election. The president has picked fights with the media and intelligence community, blaming agencies he now oversees for leaking classified information that put him in a negative light. Trump's turbulent start has left him saddled with historically low approval ratings for a new president. Just 44% of Americans approve of his job performance, according to the new NBC News Wall Street Journal survey. Trump advisors say parts of Trump's primetime speech will amount to a defense of his early actions. He's expected to tout his decisions to withdraw the U.S. from a sweeping Pacific Rim trade pact and to order the government to start working on a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Well, Republicans are impatient to begin making headway on legislation. Hope Trump arrives on Capitol Hill armed with specifics on replacing the Obamacare healthcare law and overhauling the nation's tax system. Two issues he's so far talked about in mostly general terms. GOP lawmakers want to act on both this year, but are divided over how to proceed. You know what? I honestly think what you're going to see is more likely not getting rid of Obamacare. I think that what you're going to see is that he is going to fix the bad parts, or try to fix the bad parts, throw out the bad parts, and put in new things that work better. And that just makes a lot more sense. You know, in the last 8 years that the Republicans have been complaining about Obamacare and wanting to abolish it, they haven't come up with any new plans. Now all of a sudden they're scurrying for them. They've got 2 or 3 plans that are out there. None of them are really all that good. I think that the realistic thing is you listen to medical society and you say, let's find out what's good. Let's find out what's bad, and let's talk to the insurance companies and see what makes sense for them too. And then maybe, just maybe, we can get a comprehensive health care plan that works for all Americans. We certainly need it. We certainly deserve it. Well, I'm going to give you just one more thing on Trump, and that is his sons opened the newest hotel in Vancouver, British Columbia. Ignoring protests, claims their newest real estate venture clashes with Canadian values and a no-show mayor who tried to change the tower's name. U.S. President Donald Trump's son said just today that it was so fitting to see the Trump brand in Vancouver, a city known for its diversity and progressive politics. Protesters, some carrying posters proclaiming, "Love Trump's hate." Yeah, love Trump's hate. Surrounded the entrance to the Trump Hotel and condominium tower, while police and security officers in black suits gathered on sidewalks at the soaring edifice, which has drawn praise for its sleek design, but has also raised ethical concerns about business interests of the new U.S. president. Well, we'll see what actually happens with that. In any event, we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about something a little more pleasant. I'm going to talk about the IRS Loses. And the first case is, they lost this one. They must pay a refund to a non-filer. Yeah, I'll explain that all to you right after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses. website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 60 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 62 on its way to 42 degrees here. And yesterday it was raining. Today is, the sun is shining. It's kind of beautiful outside. I look out the studio window. I can see snow up on the mountains, the ridge behind us. It's wonderful. And if you happen to be listening to our show on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 48 degrees and it's overcast. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, you know what? Just duck, and keep yourself safe. But it's 58 degrees and it is currently raining right now. So, we want to keep that in mind for you. But you know what? Let's talk about something that'll put a smile on your face. Let's talk about the IRS Loses. And in the first case here that they lost, they have to pay a refund to a non-filer. Somebody had never even filed their taxes. Listen to this. Michael Zarkey didn't file a return for 1999, and when the IRS realized that this almost 3 years later, it sent him a tax bill. But it turned out that Zarkey had overpaid his taxes by $270, and he sought a refund. Here's the IRS's objection. A person who hasn't filed a return can obtain a refund only if taxes paid during the prior 2 years. Now, as more than 2 years had passed since his payment, Zarkey was not entitled to a refund. So Zarky, well, he went to tax court. This is what the judge said. That is the general rule, but the IRS can send a deficiency notice to collect the tax bill up to 3 years back. And when it does so, the taxpayer gets the same time limit for refund claims. So Zarky's refund is absolutely allowed. And he gets interest for it too. Isn't that cool? And they got to pay his attorney fees. Isn't that even better? You bet you're smiling now, aren't you? Sure you are. How about this? The IRS loses. An estate avoids undervaluation penalty when both sides experts were wrong. Listen to this. When a woman died, her shares in a private company were valued by the IRS at $32.4 million and by her estate at $1.75 million. Man, there's a big difference, right? Well, finding the difference startling, the court valued the shares at $13.5 million. Well, the IRS then sought to impose undervaluation penalties on the estate. This is what the judge said. When assets are undervalued by more than 25%, a penalty of 40% normally applies, and here the undervaluation was 87%. But this valuation was difficult. Both sides made errors, and the estate's valuation was much closer to the court's than was the IRS's. This gives sufficient cause to lift that penalty. Man, can you imagine the penalty at 40%? Wow. Big. Here's a split decision. The IRS has. A spouse is innocent for only 1 of 3 years. So here's the deal. Andrea Vuxta's husband earned the family's income and underpaid his taxes for 3 years. He also made a bankruptcy filing in which the general debts, but not his tax debts, were extinguished. Now, after that, he died and the IRS tried to collect from Andrea the tax bill that he owed on the couple's joint returns. She claimed innocent spouse relief, saying that she hadn't known about the tax underpayments. Well, they went to court. This is what the judge said. Andrea didn't know of the underpayment for the first year when the return was actually filed, so she gets relief for that year. But she had to know about the taxes due for the other 2 years because of the bankruptcy case. So she does not qualify as an innocent spouse for those years. But you know what? Still good news. The IRS only got 2/3 of what they wanted. Now, how about this? You've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. That's where we're at right now when we talk about inside the IRS. It's very much like the Twilight Zone. Okay, so these are not tax court cases, and so you can't use them for that. But you know what? I tell you all the time, the most valuable commodity that you have available to you is information, and that's what we're going to give you here. So let's talk about what's going on with the IRS now. You ever think about leasing versus buying equipment for your business? Well, you know what? Even though a transaction is structured as a lease, the IRS may take the position that you really purchased that asset. The consequence? Instead of deducting the entire monthly lease payments, you'll be required to dedicate or depreciate the cost of the asset using IRS guidelines. Now, the IRS will generally challenge a leasing transaction if you're able to purchase the equipment for a nominal fee at the end of the lease. Now, here's a strategy for you. Always ask your accountant to help structure the lease to make sure that you'll survive any IRS challenges. That's what, if you do that, then you'll be able to do it and get away with it and get the bigger tax deduction, which is what you're trying to get anyway. And it'll be legal. It won't be shady. It depends on how you're structured. Well, how about when a tax return is fraudulently prepared? The accountant who prepared the tax return may be susceptible to pressure from the IRS agent who discovers that he or she helped the taxpayer coordinate a transaction that resulted in tax evasion. So here's an example for you. Let's just say the accountant advised the taxpayer that business deposits made into the checking account should be classified as loan payments to avoid reflecting them as income on the tax return. Now, when faced with going to jail, the accountant will likely tell the IRS agent everything he wants to hear. The self-defense here? When a tax return was fraudulently prepared, the accountant who prepared it should never represent the taxpayer before the IRS. The taxpayer should hire an experienced tax attorney who will be able to rely on the attorney-client privilege to avoid providing incriminating information to the IRS. That's exactly where you want to be. You just want to be careful all the time. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. And God only knows what we're going to be talking about, but it'll be interesting. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 60 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 42 degrees. And you know what? If you happen to be in Flagstaff, Arizona, it's 36 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're unlucky enough to be in Wichita, Kansas, hey, it's 67 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're somewhere in between, you must be traveling with my good buddy Sean LaFave. Hey, Sean, are you dry? Are you safe? Are you okay? What's going on out there?
I'm warm and it's sunny and I'm in Orange County and I have a happy belly because I just had lunch with my son and a friend and life is good.
All right. So did your son prepare the meal, or did you take him out and buy him a good meal?
No, we went out and we actually found a little restaurant in Mission Viejo. Never been there before, and they serve, kind of grass-fed beef and organic stuff and more naturally grown products. And so it's pretty good. I've never been there before.
So natural. So does that mean it was still breathing when you ordered it?
Exactly. Yep. That's the way I like it.
How do you get that cowhide out of your teeth?
I just I use one of those Sonicare toothbrushes. It works great.
So listen, how was your trip to Flagstaff?
Well, I actually didn't go to Flagstaff. I've been, although I'm really going to Flagstaff here in a couple of weeks, or at least probably maybe spend the night, go hang out with Sarika for a little bit. But I was in Texas. God, I know it seems like it's been forever since we talked. And of course, I was in Texas, and I think we talked. The last time we talked, when we were on the phone with Sarika, I was in Austin when we had that call.
That's right.
And then I went to Phoenix. That's where I met Sarika, was in Phoenix. She lives in Flagstaff, but I went to Phoenix for the quick little day seminar there on the CBD oil. And we actually got to talk with this gentleman, Dr. Titus, that is, if not the most renowned CBD specialist in the country. He's one of the top CBD specialists in the country. In fact, he's the CEO for a company called Medical Marijuana Inc. Although he deals more with the CBD, which is the non-hallucinogen part of the cannabinoids, the hemp plants.
So, Sean, did you and Sarika participate in that presentation at all, or were you just attendees?
We were just attendees. We were just listening and hobnobbing with all the other attendees and having a good time. But we did connect with this Dr. Titus and actually talk to him about maybe bringing him on the show, because he can bring a whole lot more insight than certainly than I can, but even more than Sarika can.
Well, but we can't tease him the way we do Sarika.
Well, he seems like he's got a pretty good sense of humor, so you could tease him just in a slightly different way.
Hey, listen. So what do you think about the Academy Awards? Do you care?
Nope, don't care. Boycotted it. I just think it's hilarious that they screwed up in the end. So other than that, I can't say I boycotted it, because it's just not anything that I would really be interested in anyway. But
you know what,
I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, me either. It's not something that I think, once in a while, over the years, I've been channel surfing, and it's been there. And I might have watched one presentation or something like that, but I've never watched an entire Academy Awards show, nor do I have any desire to do it. Those people are just, promoting themselves, and you know what? And I really think that when they're getting these awards from their peers for doing exceptional work, if that's exactly what's happening, they ought to stay out of politics.
I really wish they would, because it's just it cheapens it, and it's like you've got your fan base, and they're all over the spectrum. They're not going to be primarily liberals, or I'm
not saying they're not entitled to their opinions. I just don't think that's not the right venue for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the right venue for it. I don't want to come listen to a political speech. If you want to open up a blog, if Alec Baldwin wants to have his own TV show that's political, that's great, and people can watch it on their own time. But to utilize other people's times to promote your own agenda, and I don't care if it's if I agree with them or not. If it's not part of the system, then really, it's like that whole thing with Kaepernick or whatever his name is, the football player. You're a paid performer. That's your job. You're an athlete. When you're off the clock, and my ticket isn't paying your salary, then you can go protest all you want. But doing it that's like basically doing it during work. Imagine if you went to work one day and you just decided to take a knee for 15 minutes to protest something. Your boss is like, "No, get back to work."
Yeah, so, I paid to watch you play, not talk.
Yeah, right. You're right, exactly. And then it's just there's so many things like that have just become so political. I don't know if you saw this thing that's Kellyanne. The picture of Kellyanne where she was it looked like she was just sitting on the
you know what? Here's the thing, Sean. I mean, I saw it in the news. I didn't actually see the picture, but you know what? Don't we have enough trouble in this world right now that we shouldn't be worried about whether or not she's got her shoes on while she sits on the Oval Office couch?
Right, and here's the whole story, though. Here's the part that's really infuriating, and I agree with you. First of all, a woman sitting on a couch with no shoes on should be something that you look at. You know, where are all the women's rights activists on the left-hand side that going, she has the right to do this? All of a sudden, when she's doing it in a group full of black men, she's a horrible monster because she's a Republican. Okay, let's just throw that one out there. But really, that is not even a problem, period, at all, end of discussion, let alone it's not a problem in relation to the wars and the poverty and the amount of black people killing other black people in the inner cities and on and on. But here's the full story. The reason why she was on the couch and the reason why she had her shoes off was because she needed to get on the couch so she could back up and be in the spot where she wanted to take a picture with her cell phone. She was actually trying to take a picture. I actually read a story and they showed the rest of the pictures. Mm-hmm. Everyone was turned around and looked at her while she was taking a picture of everybody. She wanted it probably for, social media. His cabinet does a lot with social media. Trump's does. Mm-hmm. And Kellyanne's very involved in that. And so, obviously, they've got all the photographers back there from all the media, but she wanted to take her own picture of the whole group. And the only way she could get the right angle was to actually be on the couch. And she had enough respect to know this couch is very expensive. I'll take my shoes off before I climb on top of it.
And you know what?
So that's actually the real story. But the media didn't portray it that way. They made it look like she was being a disrespectful racist.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Whose office was it? And doesn't that person have the right or responsibility to say something if he cares or thinks it's inappropriate? It's not the press's place to do that.
Right. Yeah, no, the press turned it into something, not only did they turn it into something that wasn't there, they actually lied and completely fabricated the story to make it seem like it was something that wasn't there.
Yeah, what's new?
All riled up. Yeah, and so the media, when people talk, like racism, I don't think racism is half the problem. I don't think it's 10% of the problem that the media makes it out to be.
Well, I got to tell you, and I don't know. I mean, we could talk about this for this whole hour and a half. One of the problems that I'm having is that the news is no longer the news. It's an entertainment industry that they have now, and it's all about ratings. And they're manufacturing, whether you want to call it fake news or whatever, or entertainment, they're manufacturing these things. And because there is this rift between the President of the United States and the media, they're going after each other just absolutely without any abandon here. And I said it earlier, here we have a world that's full of strife, full of problems. We've got people dying here in the United States, in Chicago and city. We got all these problems, and they're worried about some barefoot woman on the couch in the Oval Office, or they're worried about they're going to defend themselves for taking these leaks and trying to make the president look bad when it's really not their job to do that. Their job is to report on the news. And they're not doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It just boggles my mind how the media just doesn't focus on facts. They don't focus on the important issues. They focus on drama and sensationalism and whatever they can do to sell airtime and papers and clicks and whatever else. And it's just a sad state, and I wish that, America in general would wake up and go, you know what, I'm turning this stuff off, and I'm not going to listen to it anymore because Donald Trump, stopped CNN from being at whatever it was that he had, and I agree with him,
Well, no, here's the thing. They stopped, I think 3 or 4, maybe a half a dozen, I don't know, news agencies that we already agree are not really news agencies, right? From going into that conference. And you know what? Why have them in there? They don't report the honest news anyway, so why even have them in there?
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's freedom of speech, there's freedom of press, but there's also a responsibility that goes along with that. And nowhere in the Constitution does it says that every single news outlet has to be able to follow the president everywhere he goes. Yeah. It doesn't say that. It says we have the freedom of press, but it doesn't say that he has to allow you every single every single, possible channel access. No, it could be 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
But there's, isn't
that,
you're my hot buttons right now.
Well, here's the thing that, Sean Spicer does a daily report of what's going on, what's on his schedule, or the meetings he's had, the things that have gone on, and they twist that, and all they care about is non-news items and stupid things, and they ask the same questions a dozen times, a dozen different ways. They're just trying to create controversy instead of report on what's happening in the White House. Well, then to hell with them. Yeah. What they need to do is to put one professional news person, journalist in the White House to report all this stuff on a pool basis and let everybody else get their news from that one person, if that's the way they're going to handle it.
And unfortunately, and of course, that would be called censorship.
Yeah.
Especially by the left. Yeah. Because of the Republican president in there. And of course, if it was a Democrat president, they're right, we call it censorship too. But
so is there such a thing as reverse? So is there such a thing as reverse censorship? Because isn't that really what's kind of going on?
That's exactly what they're doing. Of course, the Constitution, unfortunately, is about the government is not allowed to censor, but it doesn't say anything about private industry not allowing to be censored, not allowed to censor things, and that's exactly what they do. They filter the stuff they don't want to be seen out of the stories they report, and they give the story in the way that they want it to be told, in a way that is unfortunately going to just sell.
And what they do, their attorneys say, are absence of malice, which means that they can't be sued for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's a terrible state of affairs that our country's gotten into, with just everything from the division is terrible. The Democrats complained for 8 years that the Republicans didn't work with Obama, and now the Democrats don't want to work with Trump. And everyone kept asking Trump over and over again, "Are you going to accept the results of the election?" And of course, he finally said, "Yeah, I'm going to accept the results." But they're not willing to accept the results. Yeah. And it's unbelievable, massive divisiveness in this country that we have got to get over it, or we are going to destroy ourselves.
Yeah. I got into a big conversation yesterday. I do a semi-weekly, on Mondays and Fridays, I do a simulcast with John Matthews and Joe Hakos. Joe's in Florida, John's in Los Angeles, and so all 3 stations, or all 3 shows, simulcast together for a half an hour on Mondays and on Fridays. Well, yesterday, it irks me sometimes. I'm not going to castigate somebody just for the sheer pleasure of doing that. I think that there needs to be some truth, or I'm no better than the people that I'm complaining about. And so the thing is we were talking about, Obamacare and what the Republicans are going to do with Obamacare, and that I think that they were going to repeal Obamacare. And I said, no, they're not going to repeal Obamacare. They're going to repeal parts of it. They're going to do it piecemeal. The Republicans have had 8 years to come up with a health care program, and they haven't come up with it. They're not going to come up with it in 30 days. That's for doggone sure. The only thing they can really do is to get rid of the really bad stuff, fix the things that are fixable, and maybe rename it if that's what they want. Instead of calling it Obamacare, just call it the Affordable Care Act, or call it Trump Care. Who cares what they call it? But a nation like this should, especially since they're taking my tax money and your tax money, and they're mandating it, and they're taking it, there's no reason why we shouldn't have that insurance provided for us, and no reason why the richest, strongest nation on earth can't provide their citizens with the same thing that lesser nations do.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of that boils down to it's not that Obamacare, it is a failure for starters, but it isn't even just that simply Obamacare was poorly planned, which it was. Yeah. But the problem is it was poorly planned because it was trying to function in a socialistic, and I don't say that in a bad way, a socialistic sort of way. Yeah.
I'll bet you can't tell me the difference because I don't know what the difference is between a socialist and a Democrat, because they're pretty much the same thing.
Well, the Democrats more, the Democrats should theoretically still believe in in a democracy or a republic, where a republic means.
But they believe it. But they do believe in socialism, and that's kind of the problem.
A lot of them do believe, but still, socialism is where the government is controlling more of the resources. And in this case, what I'm talking about is the healthcare system. But the problem is they're trying to mandate healthcare and run the insurance side of it in a socialist sort of way.
Yes.
But then yoke that up with a medical system that is very capitalist, that is also on top of that very corrupt and is just hemorrhaging itself to death with fees and insurance companies that don't want to pay and hospitals that want to overbill.
Well, the whole thing, Sean, has gone all haywire, because what's going on is none of that was ever going to work. They should have known it wasn't going to work, because they couldn't get everybody to participate. If you can't get the healthy young people to participate, the people that are old and need this help can't afford the help. And then with the voucher systems, that's not going to work. There's not going to be enough money there for people to get comprehensive health care. Right now, you either pay a penalty or you pay for Obamacare. You're paying for it out of your own paycheck, out of your own taxes. You're paying for that. And then the government, when it comes to Medicaid, they say, well, it's a state issue. Well, it's not a state issue. The state pays 50% and the federal government pays the other 50%. Where do you think they're getting that money? They're getting it from you and I, and it's mandated. Somebody needs to come up with a standard so that all people, I'm not saying that the people that live in California should have the exact same plan as the people that live in Arkansas. I'm just saying that the states should control it, and that the federal government, if they're gonna mandate through federal taxes that they're gonna collect this money, they need to give each state their fair share of that money, the matching money that the state is going to come up with to provide you with that state-sanctioned insurance. You know what? Yeah. I don't think the federal government should be controlling that at all, and I think they need to get rid of these barriers for insurance companies where a certain group of insurance companies can sell you insurance in California, but they can't sell it to you in Arizona or Nevada. That's BS. That's BS.
I'll never understand it. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I can buy insurance for my car from a company that's based out of another state.
Yeah.
And they sell that. No matter where I live in the country, I can buy insurance from Geico or from State Farm or from whoever.
Mercury, anybody, yeah.
So I don't know why health insurance is so different, but we're trying to take an alternating current outlet and plug a direct current piece of machinery into it, and for some reason we're surprised when things start blowing up and sparking and smoke goes everywhere. It's like they're two incompatible systems. You've got to either make it all 100% that the government controls every aspect of it, or you've got to make it all where it's capitalist and the free market controls every aspect of it. When you have half and half, you end up
but you know what? Here's
shortages or whatever the case.
But here's the thing: you don't want the government controlling it. But if the government can speak for,
I don't.
But if the government can negotiate for 320 million people, then you're going to get a better deal from the insurance companies than you would if they're negotiating for just 33 million. And so what really needs to happen is what the government needs to mandate is that every state must provide insurance for their citizens. Now, just like there's a minimum wage, Sean, there should be a minimum coverage for insurance. Now, if a state wants to provide more because it's a more affluent society in that state, that's okay. They just can't provide less. And the federal government, if they're taking money out of my check for that purpose, they need to forward it to the state that I live in that's providing me with that insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the whole system is so convoluted and so complicated that we need an absolute complete reboot of the system. And I really hope that Donald Trump and his cabinet are able to come up with a solution that's efficacious.
Oh yeah, you know what?
It's beneficial to everybody.
Well, you got to know that something's going to happen. They're not going to abolish Obamacare without having a replacement. They're not even close to having a replacement. So what they're going to have to do is repair what they can as long as they can, unless they come up with something that's more comprehensive. You know what? We already got this thing in place. Why not just fix the bad parts as fast as you can? And why don't we develop something better? This fighting doesn't make any sense at all. And the one thing about Trump that I just love to death is I don't recall, and I've lived through presidents from Truman right up through Trump here. And here's the deal. I don't recall one president who actually accomplished more in their first 100 days and actually kept his promises.
It hasn't even been 100 days. It's only been 40. Yeah, you're right. He's been nonstop.
These guys, this guy is keeping his promises, and everybody's saying, "Oh, he's doing this and he's doing that." I said, "What the hell are you talking about? He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do when you voted for him."
Yeah, I know exactly. I can't remember who I saw this, but someone, I don't know, was posted it. So this is the first time in the U.S. history that the American people are mad at the president for keeping his promises.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to do that. He said he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised that he's actually doing it?
You know,
is it just that you're so used to all the other puppets that we've had for the last 100 years?
They're talking about his approval rate being at 44%. But of the people that voted for him, 85% approve of what he's doing.
Yeah. Of course his approval rate's going to be low because half the country didn't want him as president. So, his approval rate, it's going to take him a good 2 years before his approval rate gets anywhere above, 50 to 60%.
Hey, Sean, you want to talk about politics?
Well, no, of course not. I hate talking about politics. I actually have some fun things to talk about. So one's kind of fun. And you're gonna say what? Every now and then I come up to you with something completely off the wall when it comes to healthcare, and you're just gonna be astounded at this one. This one blows my mind too.
Well, you know what? Do a lead-in teaser because we got 1 minute before we go to a commercial break.
Well, we got 1 minute. Okay, so I don't know if does my voice sound kind of scratchy to you a little bit right now?
Just a little bit, like you got a cold or recovering from a cold? Yeah,
that's exactly what it feels like. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not because I had a cold. Part of it was I worked at a conference this weekend, and we worked hard and long days, but then at the end of this was a great big after party, and we had a lot of fun, and so we were hooting and hollering and having a good time. But I did something Saturday with this guy who's the best in the country at this.
Hey, you sure you want to admit this on the air?
I'm going to admit this on the air, and it's called balloon sinuplasty, and basically it's you've heard of people having nose surgery for fixing deviated septums and all kinds of other sinus problems. Well, this guy's got a procedure where he literally shoves a balloon up your nose and inflates it while it's inside you. And there's different nasal cavities, and you can put it in each one. And it's to help clear up sinus problems, but it works for snoring problems and sleep problems and headaches and all kinds of other stuff. And I'll tell you, and I'm gonna do my best to just try to describe what this felt like. But boy, I'll tell you, when you talk about opening up your sinuses, I don't think there's anything in the world that can do it better than this. When we come back, I'll talk about what it feels like to have someone inflate a balloon up your nose.
Okay, let's do that because I already have questions.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I already have questions. Listen, we'll be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner right after these brief messages. Do not go away, or we'll just burst your balloon.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 60 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 43 degrees. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 43 degrees there. That's going to be our low. That's what it is there right now. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 55 degrees and mostly cloudy. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave. He's got balloons up his nose, or at least he's going to tell us about that kind of thing. Hey, Sean, you got the microphone.
All right. So I was at this conference this weekend, and someone said, "Hey, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the best in the country. He's been doing it for 19 years. This thing called balloon sinuplasty." And I'd heard about it. In fact, I know a physician here in Orange County. He's down in Laguna Beach who does this, and he's told me about it. And I've been actually meaning to get it done because I wanted to see if it would help. I snore pretty loud, and so if you have either snoring or sleep apnea or at all, if it's because of your sinuses, this can actually fix that. And so I thought this would be pretty interesting to check out. And so what they do is they take a small, obviously it's flexible because it's a balloon, but it's like this flexible balloon that they can go up, and there's 3 different cavities inside each sinus passage for each nostril. And so they can go up and they can do all 3. They usually do one, and then wait a day and do the next one, and then another day do the next one. And they'll do both sides, so they'll do the same channels up each nostril, one after the other. And what it does is when the balloon expands, so it's inflated, it restructures and widens the walls of your sinus passageways. But again, since it's non-surgical, it maintains the structure. But what you've got is what they call cranial faults throughout your skull. And they're the kind of the joints where your skull plates come together as they solidify when you're a child. And those could actually shift a little bit. And then you have myofascia throughout your whole body, and there's the myofascia even up inside your skull, behind your face. And so what this does is it basically kind of stretches everything out. It relaxes that whole area, and it resets it and restructures the whole thing. So he goes in, he takes his balloon, and he puts like a little it looks like a little finger con. The balloon is about the size of a finger, by the way, at least my finger anyway. And I don't have real big hands, but it's about the size of my finger. And he puts this little, like a little rubber, latex sleeve over it to, obviously, so you can use it on more than one person.
It's interesting. My doctor did that to me too, but she didn't stick it up my nose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got the better end of the deal on this one, just so you know. I've had that done before too, and it's not near as alarming as getting it done in the sinus cavities. All right.
So, are we talking? At some point, are you going to tell me? Is it terribly painful?
No, and see, that's the funny thing. So he takes his balloon and he sticks it up all the way up into your nose, up into one of the cavities. He uses a stick, literally, not from the ground, but he uses a stick to kind of shove it up and get it in there where he wants. And then what he does is he tells you, okay, go ahead and relax. He goes, and when you're ready, let's just go and take in a deep breath, and that's when he'll do it. So he puts his hand over your eyes and kind of over your forehead. And, and I thought, well, maybe it's just kind of one of those things like it's a relaxation. I'm pretty sure now that he did that so you don't bolt upright and come flying out of the bed when he does this to you. So he puts his hand over you, you take a breath in, and at the other end of the balloon is, the black bulb that they squeeze when they increase the pressure on the blood pressure cuff?
Yes.
Okay, so it's got one of those black bulbs on it, and as soon as you take a breath in, he squeezes that thing as hard as he can. And it doesn't really hurt. It is extremely uncomfortable. It feels like it feels like a gorilla just shoved his finger up into your nose cavity. But the worst part of it is you hear this sound that sounds just like bone cracking. I mean, imagine someone taking a fistful of eggshells and crunching them, and that crunching sound comes from the inside of your face. And it's in an instant. And I'll tell you what, man, it got my attention. It was the weirdest.
That sounds like it hurts.
It sounds like it hurts. And when you watch it, like I watched a couple other guys have it done, it looks like people are in pain, but it's actually really not that painful. It's maybe a mild pain. It's really more discomfort than pain. They actually had one woman there, and I think that she probably I don't think it was anything other than she just wasn't mentally ready for, because it definitely is this weird sensation, and it's almost frightening. And one woman actually passed out there on the table when he did it to her. And I could see how someone could pass out, because it sounds like someone just smashed you in the face with a hammer and bone is breaking. But what it is it's all that myofascial that's all bound up in there, that's all being released. And as a matter of fact, this is the only thing I can compare it to is, how when you crack your knuckles, it makes that popping sound?
Yes.
Okay, well, a lot of people believe, and really, this is totally theory. Nobody knows exactly why your knuckles make that sound. But of course, a lot of people believe that it's just a gas in between the joints that gets released. But another theory is that your tendons and your ligaments, that they're kind of, they can transition from a fluid to a solid state, just like Jell-O, like a gelatin.
Mm-hmm.
When you take Jell-O and you put it in the refrigerator, it solidifies, but if you warm it back up, it turns back into a liquid. Well, the soft tissue, and this is my theory, this is something he came up with, I'm trying to think, why does it sound like all this crackling, popping, crunching sound? Well,
Sean, stop for a second.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
When he's doing it to you, you're hearing this, or are you hearing that same noise when he's doing it to someone else and you're just observing?
Yeah, when I'm observing, I can't hear it.
Okay.
But I can hear it because it's coming from inside my face, and it's right next to it's your sinus passage. It's right, it's almost connected to your ear canal.
Gotcha.
So it's right there, yeah. So it's traveling through. You can hear it. It sounds extremely loud, but you can't hear it from another person. So there's one theory is that when you, say you pop your knuckles, is that popping sound you hear is a rapid transition from solid state to what you do is you heated your ligament or tendon up, and it actually turns into like a more fluid state, and that popping sound is the transition going from a solid to a more gel-like state. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what it is, because myofascia is just the myofascia that runs through your whole body, it runs through all the muscle fibers, and when it comes to the end of a muscle, it actually comes together and it forms a tendon. So
Sean, if it's just a discomfort and it's not painful, why do you have to go for 3 different visits? Why can't you just get it all done at one time?
I'm going to guess because you're opening up these cavities that maybe have been, bound up. Maybe they're congested. Because I know for me, I only did 1 of the 3 on each side, and I had a ton of drainage. I mean, I was like to the point where it was giving me a sore throat. Like I still have a scratchy throat. It's been a couple of days.
And then if you had that drainage as you were blowing your nose, was it painful?
No. The first few times when I blew my nose, I was actually looking. I was expecting to see blood or some weird something. It was normal. There was nothing. It felt strange because that sinus cavity it had been expanded. It had been opened up, and the breathing capacity was drastically increased. It was unbelievable, the difference. So I actually really do want to go back and try it again, but the sensation behind it is just absolutely strange.
But you only had the 1 on each side done, which means that you've only got about a third of the work done.
Right. Yeah, I've got to go get it done a couple more times. Yep.
So how long does this procedure last? How long before you have to do it again? Or is it a one-time fix all, or what's it all about?
I don't know if it's something that you need to do, like, once every 6 months, once a year. I didn't really ask that question. I certainly want to research it more. Like I said, I'm going to go down to my buddy that's down here in Laguna Beach and have him do it to me on the other 2. Matter of fact, what I may have him do is just like next week when I'll be in town a little bit longer, have him start over and do all 3 of them for me just 3 days in a row.
So this is not really a new procedure. It's something new that you were listening to in Phoenix, but basically the procedure's been, he's obviously done a number of these, right?
Well, this guy I had it done here in Costa Mesa. That's where the conference I was at. Was in Costa Mesa this past weekend. But this guy has been doing it for 19 years, and he's the best in the country. And so I don't think
19 years, and I've never heard of it. And I'm getting the feeling that prior to this, you've never heard of it either.
I heard of it last year. It was the first time I heard about it. Probably within about a year or so ago, I heard about it, and I thought, okay, that sounds really interesting. And I never really looked into it much. But when I heard that guy was there, and he was, working on people, anybody who wanted to get it done, I said, now's a good time to get it done. This guy's the best in the country. If I'm going to get it done by anybody, I should get it done by him. And man, so I'm curious. So when I get it done more, I'll let you know how it affects everything.
Did you notice any relief when you were sleeping that evening?
I can tell you, let me see here. I'm trying to think if it was Saturday night. Now, Saturday night, I was up really late. We had an after party, so we did, oh my gosh, it was a long, long day. We had a 12-hour day we worked, and then we went and ate dinner, and then we went to the after party, and there was, hundreds of these practitioners from all over the country at this big party, and they had a band, and it was a lot of fun, and we were out till like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I only slept for, like 6 hours that night. But actually, I slept pretty well, considering,
I'm meaning comparatively. Did you notice any difference once you had the sinuses expanded? Did you notice that you slept any more soundly? Did you breathe easier? Did you notice a difference that way? I mean,
I noticed that I breathed easier, for sure. And again, that's why I was saying it's hard to compare my sleep that night compared to any other night, because it was, such a long day and I was so exhausted. But I think all things considered, I got a better night's sleep than I normally would have.
So is this an expensive procedure?
I don't know. I didn't ask how much it costs. Like I said, when I go to my buddy, I'll ask how much he charges for it.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know. So I can do some more research on it and find out more about it, because it's a pretty fascinating concept. It makes good sense.
So let me ask you this: if they open up your sinuses, all 3 of these orifices there, and it lasts any reasonable amount of time. How does that affect people who have severe allergies? Do the allergies get worse because your nasal passages are open more and there's more to get congested, or how do you think that'll work?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one. I know for people who have sinusitis, chronic sinus problems, it actually helps their sinus problems go away. And if the sinus problems are in relation to allergies, and I guess the answer would be it would have to improve your allergy symptoms, because obviously allergies, a lot of that goes along with it is drainage. And if you're so inflamed and bound up and congested that you can't drain, well, it's just going to make it worse. And so if you get this done, I couldn't imagine, because he says he does it with people who have sinus infections and stuff. I couldn't even imagine getting this done with a sinus infection at the same time.
No, that's got to hurt.
Yeah, I would imagine that wouldn't feel good at all.
Yeah, that's got to hurt. Yeah.
Yep. But they say, when I was looking at it, then it's, you can go to ear, nose, and throat journals, peer-reviewed articles and on, that it gives people, statistically significant improvements in trial studies that they've done on it for sinus problems. And it helps with things like tension headaches and pressure, congestion headaches and those kind of things. So it helps with a lot more than just sinusitis.
You would think that there'd be more notoriety and more use of that procedure if it was efficacious.
You would think so. I would like to think that would be the case. Maybe it's just because it's so new. Maybe it's only been around for a couple decades, or but it's something quick, easy, boom, it's done. So yeah. I can't imagine you can charge, because it's literally a hand pump and a rubber balloon.
Yeah.
And a dude sticking it up your nose and squeezing a handle. So how much do you charge for something like that?
Well, doctor visit's $50, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it literally takes the whole procedure. It takes him less than a minute per nostril. Yeah, maybe 30 seconds. He could probably do both nostrils in a minute if he can get you to lay back down after doing the first one. I had to sit up and wow.
It depends on how long it takes him to scrape you off the ceiling.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can just see him. All right, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to strap you down now, and that's going to just exacerbate the anxiety.
Exactly. So I love going to these conferences just because you see all these new and not new, but these unique and different approaches that people have. But that was one that I'd heard about, and I'll find out more about it, and we can talk about it on another date.
I'm intrigued by it. It's there's a million questions a person could ask about it, but you don't want to ask stupid questions, obviously. But there's a million. How long does it last? And what does it cost? And how many of these have you done? And what kind of benefits do you get besides just opening up the sinus cavities? Does it help with allergies? Does it help with sleep apnea, like you talked about? Does it help with snoring? All of those things.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'll find out all the answers to all those questions, and maybe we'll dedicate a whole show. In fact, maybe I can get this guy. I've got his. I've got his phone number, and maybe I'll see if I can get him on the show. We can bring him on, and we can talk about it sometime.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
There we go, because he can answer all those questions instead of me doing the research.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be the way to do it. I think that'd be interesting. Yeah,
absolutely. So how much time do we have left on this segment?
Let's see here. We've got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right. So I got another article that I want to talk about. We're definitely going to have to go into the next segment, because I definitely can't get into this in less than 2 minutes.
Well, why don't you go ahead and maybe you can just do the setup. What's going on early? We'll go for an early break and then come back at it.
That's what I was going to say. We'll set it up, go on break. So, first of all, did you hear about down in Texas? There was a 17-year-old, whether you want to call him or her a boy or a girl, I don't know, but it's a person who was born female and decided she wants to be a boy, so she is transgender. She is taking hormones, testosterone, male hormones, to become a boy, and she or he, whatever, wants to wrestle, is a wrestler. And the state of Texas says, no, your birth certificate says female, you're going to wrestle with the girls. And so she went on undefeated for the entire season in girls wrestling with testosterone in her body, and went on to win the Texas State Championship for girls wrestling. And of course, that begs the question of, where do we draw the line with transgender? How is it that a girl, okay, fine, whether you want to call this person a girl or a boy, the problem here is now you've got a person who's taking performance-enhancing drugs and going out and wrestling against other girls and beating the snot out of them, literally undefeated the entire season. And I just say that begs so many questions, like the ethics behind it, the chemistry behind it. Do we allow someone who's on a performance-enhancing drug to continue to compete in sports, and should he or she be allowed? Should they go off of strictly the XY or XX genetic markers, or should they go off of what the person identifies with?
And those are the questions we're going to answer when we come back from this commercial break. Don't go away.
Wait. I'm going to set us up. So, with that in mind, here's how we're going to answer those questions. The American College of Pediatricians just declared that allowing a child to become transgender is considered child abuse, and that's what we're talking about.
Really? We're going to have I wish we'd have started the show off with this. Okay, we're going to be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner, and we're going to decide if you decide that you are transgender because you just weren't born with the right psyche, is that child abuse? We're going to answer those questions when we come back. Don't go away. Or we're going to try it.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And, you know what? Instead of giving you the temperature, because I want to get back into this conversation that I was having with Sean, and we're trying to decide if you are born, and you're a little boy that wishes you were a little girl, or you're a little girl that wishes you were a little boy, and so you become transgender, and if your parents support that, are they guilty of child abuse? What do you think? Hey, Sean, let's take this down the road.
All right. So, last month in the American College of Pediatricians basically posted their stance on this, and I got to say I was pretty surprised, pleasantly so, but definitely surprised that they took the stance that they did, because it is not a politically correct stance, but it is in fact one that is based off of sound logic and science, which seems to be pushed off to the wayside too much these days. And so they
before you do anything else, can you give us an example of is there any case that's actually sitting out there, and can you give us an example of the science?
A case of what you mean, of someone becoming transgender, or someone being accused of child abuse?
Someone being accused of child abuse.
That part I've not heard of yet. No. And again, just because the American College of Pediatricians says it's child abuse doesn't mean that it's bound by law to be prosecuted as such. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it has to become a law, or it has to be interpreted by law. And now it could be eventually, the first case might come up and go all the way even to the Supreme Court, and whatever that decision is going to become law. Now, of course, they go off of that as well. They have to interpret, what is abuse and what constitutes abuse. But obviously we know that there are children out there under the age of 18. I don't know what they assume they mean by children. You're under the custody and care of your parents or legal guardians. And so they are the ones that have to make the decision for you to do things like this girl that now wants to become a boy and goes on to, be a wrestler who's on basically steroids, male hormones.
So, Sean, just out of curiosity, how old is this girl that wants to become a boy?
This girl who is becoming and she's not becoming a boy. I want to straighten that one out. That's what they say. She's never going to be a boy, a man, a male, whatever you want to classify it as, because just the body parts aren't there, and really the genetic markers are not there. But she'll be flooded with testosterone. But she's 17 years old. And when she started this journey on, just actually getting the supplementation, the steroids injected into her body, I don't know, but she's 17, which is still under the age of 18. She's still legally the parents are responsible for her. But there are people who decide that if their child is 7 years old and decides I want to be a boy instead of a girl, the parents will support that. And so the American College of Pediatrics just finally came out and said, here's our stance on this. And it really follows facts. It follows science.
Sean, talking about science, let me just set up a little situation here. Is this something that the College of Pediatrics should be making an issue, or is this something that the psychiatrists and psychoanalysts should be making an issue of?
Well, I would say that both would probably be involved in this. But I would say first I would go with the American College of Pediatrics is what I would think would be the primary supporter or determination for this would have to come from them. Because they're going to look at it is healthcare, and healthcare for pediatric healthcare does fall under is an umbrella that covers not only the physical but the emotional, mental state as well. So where the psychiatrist would fall under that, you can have pediatric psychiatrists. Mm-hmm. So I think that they would envelop all of this. But what they went through is they went through basically 8 logical steps to come to this conclusion. And I thought this was pretty interesting because they really sat down. This isn't just, hey, this is what we think or we feel. They go, look at the way, if you look at this logically, it can only be considered abuse.
Oh, let's go through those steps.
So step 1 is they go, human sexuality is an objective. It's not subjective. It is very objective. We know this is the science now. It's an objective biological binary trait. So you have either an XY chromosome or an XX chromosome. If you're XY, you're a male. If you're XX, you're considered female. That's all species. That's not just human beings.
That's the scientific certainty of it.
Those are genetic markers of male and female. Mm-hmm. They are not genetic markers of a disorder. It's not like a person who was born with Down syndrome, for instance, may have they have a chromosomal genetic disorder. Okay, mm-hmm. But so you would look at someone with Down syndrome, you say, yes, this person has a genetic disorder that makes this person, different than everybody else. The person has Down syndrome. So what they're saying is, look, this is a genetic marker for your determining your sex. It's not a genetic marker for any type of disorder. And of course, they go on to explain that, and then.
But hang on a second. I just want to play devil's advocate for a minute. So you have this genetic marker that makes you either a boy or a girl or a male or a female, and you're saying that that's the way that it is. So how do you answer the fact that regardless of what your genetic marker is, you might be born deformed?
As far as deformed in what way?
Well, maybe you got 6 toes instead of 5. Maybe you got 6 fingers. Something in the genetics went haywire.
And that's possible, and for that wouldn't be a determining factor. That's still not going to affect your XY or your XX chromosomes. That's just going to be you got an extra.
Well, no, but the XY and the XX determines whether you're going to be a boy or a girl, whether you're going to have a vagina or you're going to have a penis, right? And all of a sudden something goes haywire, and the XY didn't make any difference at all.
Sure, and where it wouldn't make a difference at all is if a person was born either as a hermaphrodite, meaning having both genitals, or is born. Some people are born with no genitals at all, and it's so extremely rare that it's not something you would want to base your judgment of transgender qualification on, because it is so extremely rare that someone is born either hermaphrodite or without any genitals at all. It's extremely rare. So, I mean, you could take into account, yes, there are going to be genetic mutations, and in that case, then, if you want to settle it that case, but for 99.9999% of the rest of us, we're stuck with either XY or XX.
Oh, no, and I agree with you, but who's to say that genetic malfunction doesn't go to the mindset and your psyche to create the problem there? To make the boy believe that he's a girl, or vice versa.
Sure, and that's possible again, and I believe that's going to be addressed here down the road in this.
If I shut up and let you talk.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's a legitimate question, but you're right. It could be maybe there's a wiring issue. Matter of fact, there was a study that I read, and oh my gosh, I can't remember what kind of animals it was. It was a type of bird. I want to say it was like stork or something. It was a really weird study. How they even did this, I don't know. But there was birds that were exposed to mercury had a higher propensity towards homosexuality than the birds who were not. And I wish I could remember the study. I read it quite some time ago, but there actually is a study out there that talks about the introduction of specific heavy metals, and more specifically mercury, in this particular bird species, that the birds who were toxic with mercury had a much higher propensity towards homosexuality. How they figure that out, I don't know. But it's an interesting study, and I can maybe find it. We can talk about it another time. Mm-hmm. But so the second one is they said that no one is born with a gender. They said everyone is born with a biological sex, But gender is an awareness. This is what you're asking about. Gender is an awareness and sense of oneself as male or female. That's the difference between your sex or your gender. Your sex is your XX and XY chromosomes. Your gender is your awareness of yourself, and we're not born with that. It says that it is a sociological and psychological concept, but it is not an objective biological one. So what they're saying is that this is something that psychologically and sociologically we learned. That's what they're saying. That was the second point, is that your gender is not something that you innately go, I'm a boy or I'm a girl. You are actually taught that as you grow up. Okay? So because we're not born with awareness of ourselves. Matter of fact, you can see children as they become aware. I can remember my son when he was a baby, he would sit there and look at his hands, and he would move his fingers and kind of be startled, like, oh, wow, I just did that. And he would get excited. I can remember when he became aware of the fact that he had hands and he was able to control them. So we're not born with that awareness of our entire body. Babies, their hands and feet are kicking and going all over the place because they don't realize that they're in control, that this body belongs to them. And so we're not born with an awareness of our own gender as well. But it is, again, it's a sociological and psychological concept. So that's the second part of this breakdown. The third one is that a person's belief that he or she is something they are not, at the very best, is a sign of confused thinking. So for me to assume that I'm a dog is, at the very least, I'm very confused with who I am. But they're saying the same thing. If I'm a boy, I am male, and for me to think that I am female is psychologically speaking, a state of confusion. That it is it's delirium. But at the very best, it's that a person is very confused. And then it goes on to talk about that puberty is not a disease, and puberty-blocking hormones are in fact dangerous. And that's what they're talking about. Is if the person is a boy but doesn't want to be a boy, should we give this boy drugs that stop the testosterone from being produced when he goes through puberty? Well, puberty is not a disorder. It's not a disease. It's a natural human process, just like menopause in a woman. I can remember years ago when I first heard, it was like literally 20 years ago, when I first heard someone use the term estrogen deficiency syndrome, and what they were talking about was menopause, that women all of a sudden now are stopped producing estrogen, and they called it estrogen deficiency syndrome. And I went, this is not a syndrome, people. It's not a disease. It's not a disorder. This is a natural process. That
Sean, leave yourself enough. You only got 3 minutes, so leave yourself enough time to get through all these things.
All right. So anyway, so puberty is not a disease, all right? And blocking the drugs that block the hormones can be dangerous, and I'm sure are dangerous. Okay, so that's number 4. So I'll kind of race through these next 4 just to get to the point here. According to the DSMV, as many as 98% of gender-confused boys and 88% of gender-confused girls eventually accept their biological sex after naturally passing through puberty. So if a child is confused sexually, if am I a boy, am I a girl, by the time they're done with puberty, the vast majority, 98% of boys and 88% of girls are 100% convinced. Those are the ones that actually were confused, okay? Almost all of them are now certain of who they are. Pre-puberty children who use puberty blockers to impersonate the opposite sex will require cross-sex hormones in late adolescence. Basically saying, look, if you do this at one point, it's going to be basically you're going to require a lifelong dependency on other drugs. And so, and what this also does is it leads to permanent sterility. If you, at any point you change your mind and go, gosh, I'm really not a boy, I actually really am a girl.
Minute and a half, Sean. Minute and a half.
I'm going to go, gotcha. So now anyway, and then the 4th one is the rates of suicide are nearly 20 times greater among adults who use cross-sex hormones.
Hey, Sean,
Yep.
Sean, hang on a second. Can I hold you over to the next segment, and we'll just continue this in the next segment, and I won't do the normal segment for the next segment.
Oh, you want me to keep going after? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't want to rush you through this thing, and that's what's happening now. We're gonna go over, and I would much rather bring you back in and give you another 8 minutes.
Okay, sure.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave in the Gears for Wellness Corner right after these brief messages. So please do not go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 59 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 43 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 72 degrees and it's overcast. And if you're listening to us in Hong Kong, well, it's 64 degrees and mostly cloudy. And in my favorite place, Lisbon, Portugal, it's 52 degrees and clear. You know what? If you've been wondering about transgender and sex reassignment and all of those things, there's a whole new issue going on right now, and it could be child abuse. We're talking about that with our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Sean, you're back on the microphone, buddy. Thanks for staying.
Yeah, you bet. I'm excited. So I'll back up a little bit since we kind of started rushing. I'll back up to point number 5.
Yeah.
And basically what it's saying is it's after of the children who are confused about their sex, whether it's a boy or a girl, you're going to be the other sex, that as many as 98%, so almost all of the boys after they pass through puberty are convinced, again, I'm actually a boy, and 88% of girls who are gender confused eventually go on to go, yes, I'm actually a female. And so if you let this storm ride itself out, eventually it's going to correct itself for the vast majority of those who are confused. So that's one reason to wait. Then what it says is children pre-puberty, pre-pubertal children. It sounds weird to say that word, pre-pubertal children who use the puberty blockers to impersonate the opposite sex, basically are going to require cross-sex hormones later on in life. So they're going to become dependent on this stuff. A girl is never going to get to the point where she produces testosterone naturally, and a guy is never going to get to the point where he produces estrogen naturally. So they're going to be dependent on this for life. And what they're saying is that, one, this is going to create permanent sterility. Even if this girl who went on to be this boy, but is still wrestling with the girls and won the state championship, what she's looking at is permanent sterility. She will never be able to conceive, not even through artificial insemination. She'll never be able to have children, even if she changes her mind someday and stops taking the steroids. But they're saying also that these cross-sex hormones are associated with other dangerous health risks, including, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, blood clots, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. And so you're increasing their chance of these other diseases as well, and starting as children. And then it said that the rates of suicide are nearly 20 times greater among adults who use cross-sex hormone and undergo sex reassignment surgery, even in Sweden, which is among the most LGBTQ affirming countries. So, I mean, again, you're putting your child in a position where later on in life they have a 20 times risk of committing suicide because of the decision that was made really by the parent and not really by the child. Children will make lots of stupid decisions if you let them. That's why we have to be good parents and tell them no a lot. And then, of course, the last one is that conditioning children into believing a lifetime of chemical and surgical impersonation of the opposite sex is normal and helpful is child abuse. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, look, if you convince your child that they should live a life of being dependent on surgery and chemicals, then really that's a form of child abuse. And they went through these 8 points, and I thought, these are all perfect. I mean, basically what they're saying is, look, you're born XY or XX, and with extremely rare exceptions to that, and that's who you are. And for a parent to say, well, I agree with you just because you don't think you are, you don't have to be, and it's okay, we can get you some surgeries, we can, give you drugs, and we can give you hormones for the rest of your life. But they're saying, look, that is at the very best confused thinking and really would be classified as some sort of a delusional type behavior. They're saying, look, you know what, you're setting your child up for suicide, you're setting your child up for cancer, heart disease, strokes, on, and eventually living a life of massive regret and ill health. And that dependency on all these drugs and surgeries is, in fact, child abuse. It's a form of child abuse. And I don't know, I mean, logically, when you follow their logic here, I don't know that I can disagree with this on any level. Scientific, ethical, moral, philosophically, religiously, I don't see any reason to support the opposite view. So I don't know. What do you think, Robert? I mean,
well, you know what? I could tell you what I think, but I don't think I have enough information to actually do that and be objective. I know some people that are struggling with their sexuality. I've got friends that are gay. They know that they're guys, obviously, but they wish, but they take on this other role in their lives, and I'm not sure that I'm the guy that wants to judge them. And I got enough of my own problems and my own troubles without judging people for what they may be going through psychologically that creates this challenge and difficulty for them. I can't argue with the facts that you're actually laying out here because it's very logical and it makes a lot of sense, everything that you're saying. The problem is that we're talking about controlling the lives of not just transgenders or sex reassignment people, things like that, and their desires because psychologically they were affected in some way. I think that it becomes a whole different issue. I can't really argue with what you're saying.
Right. And I think the point here is not that we should not allow this at all in society. The point is, if someone wants to become transgender, it needs to be done past the age of 18. And
absolutely. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and even the people who do it as an adult still go on to have the higher suicide rates and health problems and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the homosexuality, and this is actually different because there are people who can be transgender and not homosexual, which is a whole other. But when you were talking about,
but when I was saying homosexuality, it wasn't so much homosexuals or lesbians or any of that kind of thing. It was more of a role that they take on. There are males that take on this female role in a homosexual relationship, and that's kind of what I was referring to. It wasn't so much
right. They become the more submissive one. Yeah. And we tend to relate people with being submissive. But, I've seen relationships where the man is submissive to the woman and the woman is very dominant. The old saying is, she's the one wearing the pants in the family. Yeah. But I've got a very, very dear friend of mine that I've known for, 25 to 30 years, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And he's gay, and he wasn't even sure. He knew there was something different about him, but he didn't know he was gay until he was like somewhere in his 20s, and really just kind of like, I think it was probably another man that basically kind of opened up that curiosity for him, and he's in a relationship now, and in a monogamous relationship, and he's happy. But he told me, he goes, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. He goes, I wish I wasn't gay.
Yeah.
But I am. He goes, I've tried. He goes, I'm just not attracted to women. And I get that, and that's fine. And as a society, that's who they are. I have no problem with, obviously, I accept him as my friend. We talk frequently. And, and he sends me pictures of him and his boyfriend. And I'm like, gosh, you guys are a very good looking couple. So I support him in that, because I know that to be, chastising him and saying, that's not normal. Well, I do a lot of things that aren't normal too, I'm sure. But,
hey, you know what? I could join that club too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the whole point of this is that, give children until they're an adult to make that decision, because like they said, even once children get past puberty, the vast majority of them, 98% of boys and 88% of girls go, oh, okay, I got this figured out now. Yeah, when your body's flooded with testosterone, you know who you are for the most part.
Oh yeah. My pollywogs start dancing. Anyway, we are not only out of time, we are over time.
All right. Well, thanks for keeping me longer.
No, this was fascinating. Thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. When are you heading back home?
I will be back in Kansas. I don't even know where home is anymore, but I'll be back in Kansas in maybe about 2.5 weeks or so. Okay.
Hey, buddy, stay safe, stay happy. Visit all your friends, and you know what? Make them all glad that you're here visiting, will you?
You said absolutely will. Thank you, Robert, and you have a great week.
All right, hey, fantastic.
I won't be on the show Thursday, so have a great week and weekend, and I'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
Oh, you're not going to be on Thursday?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, have a good one and stay safe, buddy.
Thank you.
Fantastic show as usual. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. You're not going to want to miss it. Our story today is alive.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. Aho Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:55 p.m. Pacific time, currently 59 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be in Torrance, California, it's 59 degrees and it is clear. And if you happen to be in Rome, Italy, or I'm sorry, London, London, England, 45 degrees and mostly cloudy. But right now, it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Yes, sir. You know what? The American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week millions of listeners, viewers, and readers await his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people, past and present. He was heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. And you know what? Our story for today is alive, and you're not going to want to miss it. That's for doggone sure. Let's get to it. You know what? None of us wants to feel stranded on an island of now in the ocean of time, but it is the Japanese in particular whose hunger for the continuity of life has motivated painstaking backtracking through time. In fact, as well as in fiction. Japan's motion picture industry was the first to resurrect prehistory in the form of Godzilla, Rodan. And, in fact, Japan's scientists have dared to retrace man's tiny footprints back to the enormous ones of his predecessor monsters. It was in the mud and slime of a peat bog in a Kimengwa farmland 25 miles southeast of Tokyo that a team of workmen found what they were not looking for. Alive. And that brings us to the rest of the story. The workmen had been digging in a peat deposit not far from Tokyo. They had found something important. That's how a team of archaeologists heard it. That's why they rushed to the scene. How far down? The workman was asked. 18 feet. The fossilized remains of a canoe and something else. One of the archaeologists climbed into the pit, reached down, parted the soil with his hands, then, crying out, he drew back. Others converged. Breathless moments passed. It was agreed that only one scientist in all of Japan would be qualified to carry on from there. Dr. Ichiro Oka. Dr. Oka was rushed from Tokyo to the excavation site. As he peered down into the bog, as his eyes fell on its secret, his pulse quickened. My God, is it dormant? Or is it possibly alive? The scientists were not afraid for themselves. All their lives that they had trained and preconditioned themselves for surprise. But they knew that this find must somehow be removed promptly to some safe place, lest it should come to life. They had heard of the giant reptiles discovered in peat bogs, the mastodons trapped in sheets of ice with skin, organs, everything preserved, but never before was there this degree of hope that something might be discovered from thousands of years past, still living. We do not know the details of how their find was removed to the safety of a laboratory. We know that it got there. We know that Dr. Oga kept around-the-clock vigil. And we know that in 4 days, under laboratory-created climatic conditions, perceptible movement. Cameramen were summoned to record this unprecedented resurrection. Japan's scientific community was alerted to the surprise that there was life left from the time when Roman legions first invaded England. A living thing had survived from prehistoric Japan. The chain of unbroken links which compromised Oriental psychology, physiology, and theology had led a living thing from the lifeless past to join them in the present. For the discovery in a peat deposit 18 feet below the earth, cradled in the fossilized remains of a canoe, 2,000-year-old, ungerminated, dormant, apparently lifeless seed. And after 4 days, a sprout. After 14 months, a delicate pink lotus flower. The seed that went to sleep when Jesus did was awake. And now you know the rest of the story. Well, on the next show, we're going to be talking about money secrets of multimillionaire investors. I'll tell you all about that. Joel Saltzman will be here, Dr. Wireless, and he'll be talking about wireless technology news. And then I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Well, tomorrow's story is Practice Run. You're not going to want to miss it. In the meantime, tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And I promise I'll be glad you did, too.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.